Yes, I didn't see him. What are you looking so sad about, Jeff?
I'm surprised. I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talking about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time during my career, I was on a Formula One tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
We was on tour.
What's happening, my people? It's Cast Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Salute to everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cast Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, bare knuckle boxing. Okay, how's everyone today? Tuesday afternoon, still early in this week of boxing history. Bare knuckle boxing today, we're going to talk about some of the old school bare knuckles from back in the 19th century, 1800s. And then we're going to cover the current version, 2025 version, the modern version of bare knuckles boxing, okay? Little history, and we're going to talk about some of the guys that's active in bare knuckles right now. We're going to talk about some of the old school guys that were active back then, So bare knuckles boxing today. But how's everybody? It's Tuesday, like I said, early in this week of boxing history. And we're going to start out today with the highlights of boxing history as usual for the first half hour of the show. And today, for the highlights of boxing history, it's the 13 fastest knockouts in boxing history. You know, like yesterday we had the guys that got him out of there the fastest. We had some guys yesterday that averaged like knocking the man out in 3 rounds. I think the top 2 was 2 rounds. It was Deontay Wilder and Shannon Briggs, I believe. Today, the 13th fastest knockouts in boxing history. So without further ado, highlights of boxing history. I remember last year we talked about a knockout that happened in 11 seconds. I thought that was the fastest, but I found a couple faster than 11 seconds, right? Somebody got the man out of there faster than 11 seconds. BN Boxing News in the building. What's up, bro? How are you today? We're going to be talking about bare knuckles boxing about 2:30, but first, the highlights of boxing history is the 13th fastest knockouts in boxing history. Salute BN Boxing News. Okay, let's get into these knockouts. Now that went on the screen there, took 30 seconds. Mike and Marvis Frazier, remember? Mike got Marvis out of there in 30 seconds. And that's like 7 for 8th place. Okay? Yes. Let's talk about it. Now, in the boxing world, a quick and resounding knockout is the pinnacle of excitement and raw power. Now, while the bell may have just rung, either the boxers want to get home as early as possible, or they want to move on to the next fight. A knockout punch will definitively have people talking for ages. Now, these knockouts today are record-breaking moments in the history of boxing and display some of the most awe-inspiring skills that made the boxers legendary in the sport. Okay? In boxing, some knockouts have become legendary due to their lightning-fast finishes. Bernard Hopkins defeated Steve Frank in just 24 seconds, while Mike Tyson's power overwhelmed Marvis Frazier in 30 seconds. Remember, Naseem Hamed delivered a memorable knockout against Saeed Lawal ending their fight in 35 seconds. Okay? And those are some of the longer ones. Okay, for what I got today, those are some of the longer ones. All right, appreciate you. BN Boxing News. Putting some color in the chat early. All right. Appreciate that, BN Boxing News. For the color, 1,000%. Yeah, and BN, I'm on here because I got people like you supporting me, keeping me coming on here, right? Without the people in the chat, the supporters, I could not do it. I appreciate you, BN Boxing News. Okay, first, we got 13 of the fastest knockouts in history. At number 13 is Prince Naseem Hamed, right? He ended his first title defense in 35 seconds. That was for his first title. 35-second knockout for the Prince. Okay? Now, Hamed dropped Lawal with the first punch that he threw, right? Now, Hamed defended his WBO featherweight title against Lawal, securing a knockout victory in 35 seconds, okay? Just 35 seconds. Excuse me for a minute. That was his first title defense. I said for his first, that was his first defense, right? He ended it in 35 seconds. I had to go back and look at that. Okay, yeah. Now, Hamed's unorthodox style and powerful strikes led to a quick and demonstrating to a quick end, demonstrating his prowess in the ring against an unheralded opponent. Okay, 35 seconds. Number 12. Told you the 32nd one is on the bottom end of the list. Okay. Mike Tyson stopped Marvis Frazier in 30 seconds. Y'all all remember that one, like 87, somewhere around in there. That was Marvis's last fight. Never fought again after that. Iron Mike delivered a memorable knockout in that fight. It was the fastest knockout in Mike Tyson's career. Okay, that 32nd one against Frazier. Now, Tyson delivered a memorable knockout against Marvis Frazier in 30 seconds. Using his trademark power, Tyson overwhelmed Frazier with a series of punches, finishing with a right uppercut that ended the fight quickly. 30 seconds. I call that's quick. Okay. Coming in at number 11 is Bernard Hopkins. Okay. Bernard destroyed Steve Frank in just 24 seconds. 24 seconds. One of the fastest knockouts in history today. This win is the fastest knockout ever in an IBF title fight. Yep, I guess so. One of the fastest ever in any kind of fight. Steve Frank was a last-minute substitute for Joe Lipsy, okay? He was ranked number 9 in the IBF middleweight rankings, okay? I mean, ranked number 9. So B-Hop knocked the top 10 contender out in 24 seconds. Now, Hopkins successfully defended his IBF middleweight title by knocking out Steve Frank in 24 seconds. It was a swift and decisive victory, setting the tone for Hopkins' dominance in the middleweight division. Yep. Just a little brief summary, that's all. Coming in at number 10, David Tua. Okay. David Tua knocked John Ruiz out in 22 seconds. 22 seconds, and that's just, it's 9 in front of that. 22 seconds. Tua's only major achievement before this was a bronze medal in the 1992 Olympics. Okay. Tua never managed to win a world title, and Ruiz became a 2-time WBA heavyweight champion. Non-title fight here. And reminiscent of Mike Tyson and Rocky Marciano, 23-year-old David Tua, a Samoan New Zealander powerhouse, wasted no time in seizing control. With the bell's echo still resonating in the arena, Tua unleashed a devastating left hook, swiftly dropping Ruiz to the canvas at the 19-second mark, leaving the quiet man thoroughly defeated. And it ended by 22 seconds. It was over. Referee waved it off. 22 seconds for David Tua. And that's just number 10. At number 9, we have Chris Eubank, Senior. There's Senior on the right. Chris Eubank knocked Reginaldo Dos Santos out in 20 seconds. One of the greatest first punch fights ever. First punch he threw into the fight, 20 seconds. Eubanks knocked Dos Santos out right before the middleweight title fight against Nigel Benn in September 1990. Okay? No preparation for his legendary clash with Nigel Benn in November 1990. Chris Eubank faced a relatively unknown Dos Santos in September of that year. Despite Dos Santos' 11-4 record and an unsurprising delayed reaction from the referee, the fight was the quickest ever victory for Eubank, who landed a devastating right hand within just the first 10 seconds of the fight and ended it 10 seconds later at the 22nd of the first round mark. Okay? 20 seconds. Okay, number 8 on the list. Fastest knockouts in boxing history. Number 8. Gerald McClellan knocked Jay Bell out in 20 seconds. And McClellan is on this list twice. He's on here as one of the people that knocked somebody out the fastest, and he also was on the receiving end of one of these fast knockouts. We'll get to it. Gerald McClellan knocked Jay Bell out in 20 seconds. The G-Man turned Jay Bell's stomach inside out. Okay? McClellan had 3 title defenses before his near-fatal fight against Nigel Benn in 1996. June 8th, 1993 proved to be a quick night's work for Gerald McClellan. McClellan came in at 29-2, landed a powerful left hook to the kidneys, which immediately sent Bell, who was 17-2, to the canvas. Bell never got up and was attended by ringside doctors for a few minutes. This fight against Jay Bell earned McClellan his WBC World Middleweight title. Okay, number 7. Daniel Jimenez knocked Pearl Geyer out in 17 seconds. 17 seconds, y'all. Geyer had a 20-0 record before he faced Jimenez in 1994. Came in undefeated, okay, but got stopped in 20 seconds. 20-0, got stopped in 20 seconds. Wow. Okay, let's talk about that one. Geyer challenged Daniel Jimenez for his WBO Super Bantamweight title in Geyer's native Australia in 1994. In his home country, he got treated like that too. That's terrible. Before his 17-second knockout of Geyer, Daniel Jimenez conquered the WBO Super Bantamweight title with a win over Duke McKenzie. He's a world champion in 2 weight classes: the WBO Junior Featherweight title 1993 to 1995, and the WBO Bantamweight title 1995 to 1996. Bell took a shot to the solar plexus and fell to the floor, and referee Tony Perez waved it off. 17 seconds. Okay, number 6. Who's the 13 at the top? The fastest knockouts in boxing history. Number 6. Nigel Benn knocked Ian Chandler out in 16 seconds. Okay, beat Bell by 1 second. Okay, beat Geyer by 1 second. Nigel Benn, 16 seconds. Okay. Now, also known as a Dark Destroyer, Benn held world championships in 2 weight classes, including the WBO middleweight title in 1990 and the WBC super middleweight title from 1992 to 1996. Now, early in his professional career, Benn came up against a relatively unknown and inexperienced Brit called Ian Chandler. Benn was 10-0, 7 of which were in the first round. He already had 7 first-round knockouts, but none this fast. Okay. And it took him only 16 seconds to floor Chandler in Westbrook, England. 16 seconds, okay? Here's the top 5 fastest knockouts of all time. Number 5. Jimmy Thunder knocked Crawford Grimsley out in 13 seconds, okay? 13 seconds. Wow. That's quick. That's quick work. Man must have had something to do. 13 seconds. One Punch Man Grimsley took out the man who beat George Foreman. Crawford Grimsley. Referee Monty Oswald initially did not count when Grimsley went down at first. So it would have been quicker than 13 seconds. Wow, the referee started the count late. And what looked like a scene straight from Rocky IV. Grimsley, a fighter who once took George Foreman the distance, threw a jab to start the fight. Thunder countered the punch with his right hand and knocked Grimsley right out. The fight lasted a total of 13 seconds, including the count. Okay? Now, this is the one I thought was the fastest. We talked about this one last year. The Lonnie Teat, the 11-second one. But that's just number 4. 11 seconds and 4. It's 3 faster than that. Number 4, the Lonnie Teat knocked Seboniso Gagne out in 11 seconds. Teat's 21st knockout and 26th career win. So he had a pretty good knockout ratio at that point. 21 in 26 fights. Okay. He had a knockout ratio of 80.7% coming into that. It's got to be more than that. Yeah, 80.7%. Still not bad. Okay. Now, Teat and Gagne fought for the WBO bantamweight title in 2017. A fight that may have slipped away from boxing fans' memories. This South African duo went up for the WBO World Bantamweight title in 2017, with Teat successfully defending it. It took Teat only 11 seconds into the first minute to floor Gagne, who took the second loss of his career and the first by way of knockout. 11 seconds. Okay. Number 3. Jeremy Williams knocked Arthur Weathers out in 10.5 seconds. 10.5 seconds. There's Jeremy. 10.5 seconds. Williams had 9 straight knockouts before this fight. This was his 10th straight one, but none in in that amount of time, 10.5 seconds. This 1996 fight etched Williams into boxing knockout history. Williams' trainer, Joe Goosen, was in the corner wishing Williams luck for the fight. As soon as Goosen turned around, Goosen walked down the steps and turned around. The fight was over, okay? Williams and Weathers fought before a crowd of only 3,100 people. When Weathers unleashed a powerful jab, it was skillfully evaded by the hometown favorite, Williams. Now, seizing an opportunity, the Long Beach native retaliated with a thunderous body shot, seamlessly transitioning into a devastating right uppercut. The impact was immediate. Weathers crumpled to the canvas, his eyes reflecting the brutal toll of the onslaught. Okay? And number 2. Final 2. Come on, don't do this. There we go. Number 2 on the fastest knockout in history list, Paul Williams knocked Brandon Burke out in 10 seconds. Yeah, Paul Williams knocked Brandon Burke out in 10 seconds. Okay. The fastest ever recorded knockout in professional boxing. Right in front of it. Now, Williams fought only 4 times before facing Burke in 2007. Phil Williams, not Paul Williams, Phil Williams. That's Phil on the left. Okay. Phil the Brill Williams came into this fight 3-0, facing Burke, who was 0-2-1. In what could only be celebrated as a highlight reel victory for Williams, Burke was taught a lesson that you should never run into your opponent's fist. Williams caught Burke with a clean right hand and sent the latter to the floor within just 10 seconds of the first round. And number 1, this is unbelievable. I mean, this is 4 seconds. Number 1 is 4 seconds, okay? Mike Collins knocked Pat Brownson out in 4 seconds in November 1947. It takes 2 or 3 seconds to get to the middle and meet your opponent, right? So he must have walked straight out there and clocked him, and it was over with. 4 seconds. A Guinness World Record yet to be broken. Probably never will be broken. It wasn't no feeling out. Not by Collins anyway, and not by Easy, because he didn't give Brownson time to feel out. Let's talk about it. A knockout that was recorded in the Minneapolis Golden Gloves, a regional amateur boxing competition in Minnesota in 1947. This was amateur, okay, amateur. So the 10 second was the fastest one for the pros. This was the amateur fight with 4 seconds, right? 1947. The fastest knockout in boxing did not come from Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali, but from a regional Minnesota champion called Mike Collins. Officially entered into the Guinness Book of World Records as the fastest knockout in boxing history, Collins versus Pat Browson lasted just 4 seconds. Collins landed the first and only punch of the fight, after which the referee ended the fight in just 4 seconds. Okay, there you have it, the 13 fastest knockouts in boxing history. Okay, now we're going to talk about bare knuckles boxing today. Okay, bare knuckles boxing. That's what we're doing today. Okay. Bare knuckles boxing. Sorry, I'm jumping up and down. There we go. Okay, let me get my tablet. It's way over here. Where's everybody? Everybody's late today, but that's okay. I'm here. The unboxing news in the building. That's all we need. That's all we need. I had to get my tablet. I'm back. How's everybody this Tuesday afternoon? Early in the week, but 5 minutes from now it'll be Friday. The way this time going. Okay. Yeah, first we're going to talk about a little the old school bare knuckles boxing first, a little history. Then we're going to talk about a few of the guys that competed 19th century, 1800s. Yeah. And then we're going to talk about some modern bare knuckles boxing and some of the guys and girls that's currently competing in bare knuckles boxing. It's like 4 or 5 organizations. I know there's one in Philadelphia, one in Florida, 2 or 3 in the UK. And we're going to talk about them briefly. I'm not trying to bore y'all. Okay. I'm going to drop that a notch. And we're going to get into it. But it'll come back up on its own, like it always does. Okay, today, bare knuckles boxing. I remember the guy, Bare Knuckles, used to be in the JBT. Only thing, he never did his show on bare knuckles boxing. That was crazy. That thing came off of my site. Oh, no, it didn't. All right, bare knuckles boxing. Let's get into it. Now, bare knuckle boxing, also known as bare knuckle or bare knuckle fighting, is a full contact combat sport based on punching without any form of padding on the hands, right? The sport as it is known today originated in 17th century England, and although similar, it differs from street fighting as it follows an accepted set of rules. Because the only rule in street fighting is win. Okay. Yeah, bare knuckles is similar, but we have rules for that. Now, the rules that provided the foundation for bare knuckle boxing for much of the 18th and 19th centuries were the London prize ring rules. Now, by the late 19th century, pro boxing moved from bare knuckle to using boxing gloves. Now, the last major world heavyweight championship held under bare knuckle boxing rules happened in 1889. It was held by John L. Sullivan. The American National Police Gazette magazine was recognized as sanctioning the world championship title. Okay? And we're going to talk about that last bare knuckle fight championship between John L. Sullivan and Jake Kilrain if we have time. They fought 75 rounds. Okay. Now, bare knuckle boxing has seen a resurgence in the 21st century with English promoters such as Bare Knuckle Boxing, the BKB in Coventry, and Ultimate Bare Knuckle Boxing, the UBKB in Warrington. as well as American promoters, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, BKFC in Philadelphia, and BYB Extreme in Miami, Florida. We're going to cover them too later in the show. But let's talk about the early history first. Okay, early history. Yeah, I don't see anybody. I don't know where anybody's at today, but it's all good. Early history. Now, the sport as it is known today originated in England. According to the Boxing Chronicle Pugilistica, the first newspaper report of a boxing match in England dates from 1681, when the Protestant Mercury stated, "Yesterday a match of boxing was performed before His Grace, the Duke of Albemarle, between the Duke's footman and a butcher. The butcher won the prize, as he hath done many times before, being accounted, though but a little man, the best at that exercise in England." Now, the first bare knuckle champion of England was James Figg, who claimed the title in 1719 and held it until his retirement in 1730. Before Jack Broughton, the first idea of current boxing originated from James Figg, who is viewed as the organizer of cutting-edge boxing. In 1719, Figg set up a pugilistic foundation and charged himself as a professional in the noble science of defense to instruct boxers on the utilization of clenched hands, sword, and quarterstaff. Now, noted champions were Jack Broughton, Elizabeth Wilkinson, Daniel Mendoza, Jim Belcher, Hen Pierce, John Gully, Tom Cribb, Tom Spring, Jim Ward, James Burke, William Bendigo Thompson, Ben Cont, William Perry, Tom Sayers, and Jim Mason. We're going to talk about all those guys in a few minutes. Just a brief little talk about them in a few minutes. Some of their accomplishments and stuff. All those bare knuckles boxers in minutes. Now, the record for the longest bare knuckle fight is listed as 6 hours and 5 minutes for a match between James Kelly and Jonathan Smith, fought near Priory Creek in Australia on December 3rd, 1855, when Smith gave up after 17 rounds. Okay. Now, the bare knuckle fighter Jim Mace is listed as having the longest professional career of any fighter in history. He fought for more than 35 years into his 60s and recorded his last exhibition fight in 1909 at the age of 78. Yeah, Jim Mace used to take a booth around with him, around the world, and box everywhere, okay? His last fight in 1909, he was 78 years old, okay? Now, professional bare knuckle boxing was never legal under any federal or state laws in the United States until Wyoming became the first to legalize it on March 20th, 2018, just 7 years ago. Now, prior to that date, the chief sanctioning organization for bare knuckle boxing was the magazine National Police Gazette, which set up matches and issued championship belts throughout the 1880s, okay? The Police Gazette sanctioned what is considered the last major bare knuckle heavyweight world championship between John L. Sullivan and Jake Kilrain on July 8th, 1889, with Sullivan emerging as the victor. That's why I don't know, they're talking about this 17-round fight. They fought for 75 rounds, and time permitting, we're going to cover that John L. Sullivan and Jake Kilrain fight today, okay? Now, that was the last bare knuckle heavyweight championship fight won by Sullivan. Like I told you before, Sullivan was the last bare knuckle champion and the first glove champion in boxing history. Now, other noted champions were Tom Hyer, Yankee Sullivan, the Nonpareil Dempsey, Tom Sharkey, Bob Fitzsimmons, and John Morris. Okay, let's look at some rules. Some of the rules. This is for the old bare knuckles. Okay, back in the 1800s. Now, classical pugilism began to adopt rules by the mid-1700s to decrease cases of injuries and death, while also showcasing the sport as a respectable athletic endeavor. There were 3 rules that were adopted during that time until the acceptance of modern glove boxing. Okay? Broughton rules. The first set of rules devised by champion Jack Broughton in 1743. Under Broughton's rules, a round continued until a man went down. Okay? After 20 seconds, he had to face his opponent standing no more than a yard away or be declared beaten. Okay? Man went down, he had 20 seconds to come back out and toe the mark. Hitting a downed opponent was also forbidden. Now, we had the London prize ring rules. It was 3 sets then, the London prize ring rules. A new set of rules initiated by the British Pugilists Protective Association in 1838 and further revised in 1853. Now, these rules provided a ring, 24 feet, right? Square, bounded by 2 ropes. When a fighter went down, the round ended. He was helped to his corner. The next round would begin 30 seconds later, so they added 10 seconds to it, with each boxer required to reach unaided a mark in the center of the ring. If a fighter could not reach that mark on his own by the end of 8 additional seconds, he was declared the loser. So you had 38 seconds to get back out there, or you lost. Kicking, gouging, butting with the head, biting, and low blows were all declared fouls. Because before that, they were illegal. They were allowed. Then the third set of rules were the Marquis of Queensberry rules. Another set of rules that was codified by John Graham Chambers of the Amateur Athletic Club and patronized by John Sholto Douglas. The 9th Marquis of Queensberry in 1867. Now, the new rules added restrictions that continue in boxing to the modern day, such as fighters having to wear padded gloves, a round being consisted of 3 minutes of fighting, okay? It used to be until a man went down. Now, a round ends after 3 minutes, okay? Right, 3 minutes of fighting, followed by a minute of rest in between, because before you only got 30 seconds. Now you get a 4 minute. Wrestling became illegal, and any fighter who went down had to get up unaided within 10 seconds. Because before, remember, you could help a fighter up and back to his corner, but now you had to get up on your own. Okay? If a fighter was unable to get up, he was declared knocked out, and the fight was over. During this period, the introduction of the first weight divisions came into being. Okay? Now, techniques. Let's look at some techniques. Okay? Techniques. Early fighting had no written rules. There were no weight divisions or round limits, and no referee before the Queensberry rules, right? Resulting in very chaotic fights. An early account of boxing was published in Nottingham in 1713 by Sir Thomas Parkins, right? Yeah, I'm not going to go through that. We don't need to know that. Okay, so let's talk about some of the fighters that some of these old school fighters. Okay, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the modern bare knuckles. Okay, the modern bare knuckles when we come back. But we're going to talk about some of these old school fighters now. Excuse me for one moment. This tablet runs down fast. I'm gonna put this back on the charge. I don't need this right now. Yeah, this thing, man, shoot. Yeah, that tablet runs down fast. I put it back on the charge. It'll run up. I had it on 100. It'll go up and eat up 100 while in these 2 hours we on here. Okay. So now we're gonna talk about some of these old school bare knuckles fighters. Okay. Lights, camera, action. How's everybody today, though? I ain't got the few people that I usually have in here today. I don't know what's going on. Maybe everybody got something to do today. Let me refresh the chat. Okay. Now, Jim Mace was a famous bare knuckle boxer who is regarded as one of the best of all time, as well as being an important ambassador for the sport. He used his worldwide fame to help gain acceptance for the new Queensberry rules, which emphasized the well-being of the fighters. Okay, he also pioneered new methods of crowd control at fights, limiting the outbreak of riots that were commonplace during the period. Mace championed new payment methods for fighters, okay? Putting an end to the winner-take-all system, right? And allowing for both fighters to get paid for their work, because one time it was just the winner. The loser didn't get anything. So he ended the winner-take-all system, allowed for both fighters to get paid for the work that they put in. And perhaps the most important legacy of Jim Mace's career was his stance on equality, right? He was one of the few people in his time that fought for the rights of black boxers. And it was largely due to his efforts that there were opportunities for non-white fighters in boxing history, long before any other sport, right? Yeah, Jim Mace made it possible. It was largely due to him that there were opportunities for non-whites in boxing way before other sports, long before other sports. What's up, Mike Grimm? Bare knuckles boxing today. We're talking about some of the pioneers right now. We're going to get to the modern guys too, but some of the pioneers right now of bare knuckles boxing. Okay, let's talk about some of these guys. Very short, brief. First, Jim Belcher. Okay, Jim Belcher was champion from 1800 to 1803, had a 3-year reign. Okay, the first bare knuckle champion of the 19th century was a talented young fighter called Jim Belcher. Grandson of the infamous Jack Slack of the previous century, Belcher held the title for 3 years before being forced to retire after losing sight in one eye while playing rackets. Okay, Jim Belcher. Henry Hen Pierce. His nickname was Hen. Henry Hen Pierce. And there's Henry on the right there. He had a 2-year reign as champion, 1804 to 1806. Okay, when there was only one champion too, during this time frame in history. Hen Pierce was known as the Game Chicken as a result of both his name and his legendary courage. Okay, that was likened to that of a fighting cock in the pit. He was forced to retire early when a turbulent marriage forced him to develop a problem with alcohol. Hen Pierce. John Gully. John Gully. He reigned from 1807 to 1808. Yeah, I got these guys in the order of their title reigns because there was only one champion. And we go right in order. John Gully was the next champion, 1807 to 1808. John Gully lost to Hen Pierce after 6 rounds after Pierce brought Gully out of debtor's prison, okay, so that the two could fight. Despite losing, Gully was classed as the champion after Pierce's retirement. Remember, Pierce had to retire because he had a bad marriage and he turned to alcohol. That forced him to retire. He beat Gully, but then they gave the title back to Gully after Pierce retired due to that problem with alcohol. The next champion was Tom Cribb, 1809 to 1822. He had a long reign, 13 years, 1809 to 1822. Tom Cribb. Seen by many as the greatest fighter of his time, Tom Cribb held the title for several years before retiring to run a London pub, 13 to be exact. His 2 most famous bare knuckle fights were against Tom Molyneux, who was an ex-slave and a formidable fighter. Molyneux challenged for the title, though he was defeated by Cribb on both occasions. Okay, yeah, Molyneux did challenge for the title, but he lost to Cribb on both occasions. After Tom Cribb, the champion was Tom Spring. Tom Spring. Reigned from 1823 to 1824. Now, Tom Spring was a student of Tom Cribb and retired after 1 year as the bare knuckle boxing champion, despite having several victories and 1 loss in that time. After the next champion was Tom Cannon. Well, a lot of Toms in bare knuckle boxing back then. A lot of guys named Tom, wasn't it? Tom Cannon reigned from 1824 to 1825. Cannon claimed the vacant title after Tom Spring's retirement and lost it a year later in an epic showdown with Jim Ward. Okay? And after Jim Ward took the title from Tom Cannon, Jim Ward reigned for 7 years, from 1825 until 1832. Jim the Black Diamond Ward lost the title to Peter Crawley in 1827, who retired immediately after the fight, allowing Ward to retain the status as bare knuckles champion. He then toured the USA for a while before retiring in 1832. 1832, okay? And after Ward retired, the next champion was James Burke, who reigned for 6 years, from 1833 to 1839, okay? Known for his devastating punch and nicknamed the Deafun because he was hearing impaired, James Burke fought Simon Ward for the vacant title, who died because of injuries sustained during their fight. Yeah, the guy Burke beat for the title died due to injuries sustained in that fight. Okay? After Burke, William Thompson picked up the title. William Thompson reigned from 1839 to 1840, 1 year. Known as Bendigo, Thompson was one of boxing history's most shady characters and was a gangster whose friends would often intimidate his opponents. Soon after beating James Burke, he retired, leaving the former champion and Ben Kahn, both claiming to be the world boxing champion. Okay? But neither ended up with the title. After Thompson retired, Nick Ward ended up with the title. Nick Ward, that's Nick on the right. Okay, Nick Ward. and he just reigned. He lost his title in 1841. He didn't even reign an entire year. The younger brother of former champion Jim Ward, Nick fought both of the main contenders, James Burke and Ben Caunt, beating both men on a foul decision to become the 10th undisputed bare knuckle boxing champion of the 19th century. Yeah, both of those guys that laid claim to it, Caunt and Burke, Nick Ward beat both of them, and it was both on fouls. Because remember, Burke was the gangster, and he was very shady. Some of his friends would intimidate his opponents, so he lost to Nick Ward on a foul. Then after Nick Ward, Ben Caunt finally got the title. Ben Caunt. Here's Ben. I actually found some pictures of some of these guys. That's Ben. Ben Caunt reigned from 1841 to 1845, a 5-year reign for Ben Caunt. Now, Ben Caunt beat Nick Ward in a rematch to gain the title and would go on to lose it to former champion William Thompson. Right? Who beat Caunt to regain the title. Okay, after a grueling 93 rounds, right? Grueling 93 rounds. Caunt was disqualified for going down without getting hit. Afterwards, he retired from the ring. Yeah, went down without getting hit and got disqualified. Wow. We're going to talk about modern bare knuckles boxing after this. Some of the men and women that's currently competing in bare knuckles boxing nowadays. Okay, after Ben Caunt, he lost the title to William Thompson, remember? So we saw Thompson before. So Thompson's back again. He's the first repeat titleist. This time he reigned for 5 years, 1845 to 1850. Now, though he held the title for 5 years after coming out of retirement, Bendigo would only defend it once, as his opponent, Tom Paddock, was disqualified for hitting him when he was down. Okay, he couldn't do that anymore. After his retirement, he became an evangelist, preacher, and had the distinction of having a racehorse named after him. A town in Australia also took his name. And he was the subject of a poem by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, okay, famous man. Had a racehorse named after him, had a town named after him. It was the subject of a poem, William Bendigo Thompson. After Bendigo, William Perry became champion. And he reigned from 1 year, 1850 to 1851, okay? Known as the Tipton Slasher, Perry won the vacant title by beating Tom Paddock and lost it a year later to Harry Broom. Both fights were decided on fouls, okay? He lost both fights on fouls. And he lost it to Harry Broom, okay? Harry Broom had a 5-year reign, though, from 1851 to 1856. Okay, 5-year reign for Harry. Now, Broom forfeited the bare knuckle boxing title because he refused to give a rematch to William Perry, right? Whom he had beaten on a foul. Okay? And they wanted the rematch. He wouldn't get a rematch, so he forfeited the title. And after that, Tom Paddock became champion. Tom Paddock reigned from 1856 to 1858. After losing title bids to William Bendigo Thompson and William Perry, Paddock finally achieved his dream and became the bare knuckle champion in 1856. And he reigned for 2 years until 1858. Then Tom Sayers reigned from 1858 to 1860. Now, Tom Sayers gained the title by beating the veteran Tom Paddock. Sayers weighed in at only 154 pounds, so he was used to beating much heavier men than himself, as there were no established weight limits at that time. Okay, everybody fought everybody, and Sayers had a grueling draw with American John E. Heenan, in which he fought many of the 42 rounds with a badly injured arm. Okay, Sayers retired from boxing after that fight. Okay, that's probably that arm fighting all those rounds with a badly injured arm probably did irreparable damage to that arm. You know, ligaments and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So after that, Sam Hurst became champion. Sam reigned from 1860 to 1861. Mike Mazik is in the building. What's up, Mike? We talking about some of the old bare knuckles fighters from the 19th century. And they all go in order, champion after champion. But salute Mike Mazik. So after Tom Sayers retired, Sam Hurst became champion. And Sam reigned from 1860 to 1861, just 1 year. Okay. A couple more, then we're going to talk about modern bare knuckles boxing. Okay. Modern bare knuckles boxing. So, Sam Hurst was another fighter who beat Tom Paddock in a title fight. Okay. However, he lost the title in his first defense, in which he fought against Jim Mace, the great Jim Mace. Okay. Yeah, Jim Mace took his title. And then Jim reigned 1 year that time, from 1861 to 1862. Yeah, there's Jim Mace right there. One of the most famous bare knuckle boxers of the 19th century, Jim Mace toured the world with his boxing booth, taking on all comers. He lost his title to Tom King after initially beating him in their first meeting. Okay, the first meeting wasn't a title fight, but the rematch was a title fight, and Tom King took it. And then Tom reigned from 1862 to 1863. Now, Tom King gained the title after 21 rounds against Jim Mace. And then he became the second champion to retire after beating John C. Heenan after a hard-fought 2-round battle. That's 2 rounds that it was hard fought. And then guess who became champion after that? Jim Mace. Jim Mace got it back. And he reigned for 5 years this time, 1866 to 1871. After originally gaining and losing the title as a bare knuckle fighter, Mace made boxing history by becoming one of the first fighters, high-profile fighters, to switch to using boxing gloves in the ring. After the introduction of the Queensberry rules, he was one of the first, him and John L. Sullivan. After his retirement, Mace continued to tour the world with his boxing booth and went on to become a successful boxing promoter. Okay? And finally, we have who do we have? Yeah. We have Tom Molyneux, the former slave. No, that's not Tom. We have Tom Molyneux. He's the final of the old famous bare knuckles fighters. Tom Molyneux. There's Tom Molyneux. Okay. Yeah. Talk about Tom briefly. And we're gonna get to the modern day fighters for bare knuckles. Okay. Here he is. Yeah, he was a former slave, and he won his freedom because he won his master a certain amount of money, and he was freed. Thomas Molyneux, right? He was an American bare knuckle boxer and a former slave. He spent much of his career in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, where he had notable successes. He arrived in England in 1809 and started his fighting career there in 1810. Tom Molyneux. Okay, let's talk about the modern day bare knuckles boxing now. Get my charger back. I mean my tablet. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some modern bare knuckles boxing now, y'all. Okay. Yeah, this tablet runs down fast, and if I'm not using, I put it back on the charger. Okay, modern bare knuckle boxing. Okay. How's everyone today? Good to see everybody. Mike Mazik, Mike Wimby, and Boxing News, Miss Cass. Okay. Now, let's talk about the modern sport. Then we're going to talk about some men and women that are currently active in modern bare knuckles boxing. Modern bare knuckle boxing. Now, after more than a century, bare knuckle boxing returned legally to the UK in Kettering on June 29, 2015. The show was promoted by UBBAD, headed by Joe Smith Brown and Jim Freeman. They discovered that by law, fighters would have to wear hand wraps in order to compete in bare knuckle contests legally. And with the resurgence of bare knuckle boxing in the 21st century, several modifications have been made to classical rules that control historical bare knuckles boxing. Additionally, there are several changes from the Marquis of Queensberry rules. Most notably, there's an 18-second count on any knockdown in the BKB, although the BKFC and BYB Extreme use the traditional 10 count. It's like 4 different organizations. In most modern bare knuckle promotions, there's no 3 knockdown rule, and fighters cannot be saved by the bell. Fights consist of 5 rounds of 2 minutes in BKFC, both for non-title and title fights. The BKB and BYB Extreme non-title fights are 5 rounds of 3 minutes, while title fights are 7 rounds of 3 minutes. Female fights in both BKB and BYB Extreme are shortened to 2-minute rounds. One of the distinguishing characteristics of modern bare knuckles boxing is the inclusion of punching in the clinch, also known as dirty boxing. In BKB, punching in the clinch is prohibited, and fights can range from 3 rounds of 3 minutes to 7 rounds of 3 minutes. Okay? In October 2021, the BKFC Thailand, later renamed BKFC Asia, was established as the officially licensed branch of Bare Knuckles Fighting Championship in Asia. It hosted its first event titled BKFC Thailand 1, the Game Changer, on December 18, 2021, at the Pattaya Exhibition and Convention Hall in Pattaya. BKFC Thailand became the first promotion to receive full licensing and sanctioning for bare knuckle boxing in Thailand and Asia. Okay? On Februare 26, 2022, Swedish fighter Matilda Wilson defeated English fighter and late replacement Taylor Reeves in the UK's first legal female bare knuckle fight in the modern era. The fight was held in Wolverhampton and was sanctioned and governed by the International Sport Kickboxing Association, with Wilson winning by first round TKO to become the first Scandinavian woman ever to compete professionally in bare knuckle boxing. Okay? In September 2022, it was announced that Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship had acquired the UK organization Bare Fist Boxing Association, BFBA, to form Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship UK. Okay. The move meant that BKFC would now regularly hold shows throughout the United Kingdom. Okay? Now let's look at a few of the rules for the bare knuckles, modern bare knuckle championship rules. Okay? This is for the BKFC, but most of them rules are similar throughout all. It's like 4 organizations, 4 or 5. It's like 3 in the UK. It's 1 in Philly and 1 in Florida. And this is for the BKFC, which is in Philly, but most of the rules are very similar. Like the total mark, you have 2 marks in the middle. One, they might be a little further apart or something like that, but most of the rules are similar. But number 1, okay, fighters are permitted to wrap and tape the wrist, thumb, and mid-hand. No gauze or tape can be within 1 inch of the knuckles, okay? One of some rules. Number 2, fighters will toe the line. There are 2 lines, 3 feet apart in the center of the ring, where the fighters will start each round, okay? The front foot will be on the line, and the referee will instruct the fighters to knuckle up, which indicates the beginning of the fight and each round thereafter. Rule number 3. Punches are the only strike allowed and must be with a closed fist. No kicks, elbows, knees, or grappling is allowed. Number 4. In the clinch, the fighter may punch his way out with the open hand. If there's a 3-second lull in action while clinching, the referee will break the fighters. Now that's a good rule. You know, they have a time limit on the clinching. Regular boxing could use that because the referees sometimes don't have no idea when to break the clinch. So bare knuckles have a time limit. After 3 seconds in the clinch, break them. It could be 5 or something, but yeah, that time limit is good. Because you see some referees will let you fight your way out the clinch. Some referees jump in immediately and break the clinch. So I like that in bare knuckles, they have a time limit where the referee let them hold the clinch and after that 3 seconds, break it. So that's a very good rule, I think. Number 5, a fighter who is knocked down will have 10 seconds to return to his feet or the referee will stop the fight. It is not permitted to hit a down fighter. Any fighter who does will be disqualified and the purse will be withheld. While a fighter is down, the other fighter will be instructed to report to a neutral corner, okay? Number 6, if a fighter is out and the blood is impairing a fighter's vision, if a fighter is cut and the blood is impairing a fighter's vision, the referee may call a timeout to give the cut man 30 seconds to stop the bleeding. If the blood cannot be controlled and the blood inhibits the fighter's vision, the referee will stop the fight and award victory to the other fighter. Okay? Number 7, fights are 2 minutes per round, and each fight will be 3 or 5 rounds in length. In BKB, can be 3, 5, or 7 rounds. Okay? Number 8, all fighters must wear a groin protector with a cup, a mouthpiece, trunks, or boxing trunks, and boxing wrestling shoes. Boxing or wrestling shoes. Number 9, final one. All fighters are expected to give 100% effort and behave with complete sportsmanship. Okay, now let's look at some of the fighters that's actually competing in the sport. I don't have to put that back on the charger because I don't need that anymore. But I better put it back. You never know what might happen. One moment. Memento. This is my last time. This thing runs down fast. Okay. Now. Yeah, yesterday I got all the way to 5 minutes to 4, then the daggone Wi-Fi went out. That's why I ended so abruptly. The Wi-Fi went out on me at 5 minutes to 4. But let me be quiet before I talk it up talking into going out today. Okay, we're going to talk about some these guys that's actively competing in bare knuckles right now. And the first one is going to be Austin Trout. He was in our sport, remember? Boxing. He's the little switch over. I think he's a champion over there too. Austin is. Yeah, he is. Talk about it. Austin Trout. Yes, wait a minute. Austin didn't come up. Okay. I'll see what's happening with Austin. Come on, Austin. Yeah, he's a champion over there. I saw him fight at the end of last year. It might have been early this year. I saw Austin compete. He won. He only got like 4 fights, but yeah. Austin Trout. We're gonna talk. There's Austin up there on the screen. Yeah, that's Austin. Mm-hmm. Now, Austin Dwayne Trout, he's a former World Boxing Association junior middleweight champion, right, in boxing. Nicknamed The Doubt, Austin The Doubt Trout. He held the WBA title from 2011 to 2013. In 2024, he won the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship welterweight title. And Trout was the 2004 U.S. National Amateur Welterweight Champion in boxing and an alternate for the U.S. Olympic boxing team that same year. He has said that beating Miguel Cotto is his greatest career accomplishment. Austin Trout. Okay, we're talking about some of these bare knuckle people now. Modern day. Okay. I gotta get all the way back up here where I was at. Bear with me for a moment. We're gonna get the rolling. Got like 10 of them. You know I got 10. Okay. Next. Yeah, I'm right. Right on the money. Next is Lorenzo Hunt. Okay. Lorenzo and Austin Trout, yeah, he's 4-0 with 1 knockout, and he is a champion. Okay. Lorenzo Hunt is next. We're talking about some currently active bare knuckles fighters right now. Lorenzo Hunt, also known as the Juggernaut, right? He's a former light heavyweight and cruiserweight champion. He's known for his aggressive style and punching power, and has won all his pro MMA fights by knockout, right? Hunt's foundation in boxing. His foundation is in boxing, right? And he's also competed in MMA promotions like RFC and Titan FC, currently in bare knuckles. And Hunt is currently has 11 wins, 2 losses, 9 by way of knockout for 81.8% knockout ratio for Hunt. Not bad. Okay, not bad for Hunt. 81.8 knockout ratio. Let's talking about some people that's actually competing in bare knuckles right now. Luis Palomino. Oh my, what did I do? Come on, Cass. Hitting buttons. Oh my. Oh, goodness. Okay. Damn it. Luis Palomino. There's Luis on the right. Okay. Anybody come in? Let me check the chat. Briefly, no. Okay. Mike Wim says Austin Trout beat Canelo. I agree, Mike. Yeah. Canelo got a lot of gifts. But you know, the judges didn't think so. So yeah, but he had a good fight against Canelo. He sure did. They was talking about that the other day. I saw somewhere on YouTube they was talking about that the other day. Yeah, Austin Trout. Next is Luis Palomino. Next is currently active in bare knuckles, like in the BKFC, Bare Knuckles Fighting Championship, that organization. That's Lewis up there on the thing. Lewis Palomino. I said everybody in there. There he is. A couple of minutes coming up for me. That's him on the right. Luis Vicente Palomino. He's a Peruvian American mixed martial artist and bare knuckle fighter who fights out of Miami, Florida. Okay. He's the current lightweight champion of the bare knuckle fighting championship, the BKFC out of Philly. Current lightweight champion. In 2022, he became the BKFC's first double champ by defending his lightweight title and winning the welterweight title. Palomino describes himself as both technical and savage and says he can outbox most of his division. You're supposed to say you can outbox all of them, Lewis. But he says he can outbox most of them. Lewis has 10 wins, just 1 loss, 7 knockouts. Okay? Lewis Palomino. Arnold Adams. All these people are currently competing in the bare knuckles. I don't know exactly which organization each of them is, and there's like 5 of them. It's like 3 in the UK, got 1 in Philly, 1 in Florida. BKFC also has organization in England, the UK, and has 1 in Asia. Okay, so they worldwide. Arnold Adams. That's Arnold on the right there. Left, with the hat on. Okay. Now, Arnold Adams is an American mixed martial artist and bare knuckle boxer. He currently competes in the BKFC, Bare Knuckles Fighting Championship, where he is the inaugural and a 2-time BKFC heavyweight champion. As of April 4th, 2025, last month, he is tied at number 4 in the BKFC men's pound for pound ranking. So current, last month. Number 4 in the rankings. Not bad, Arnold. At heavyweight, number 4 pound for pound. 7 wins, 3 losses, 5 knockouts. Next is David Mundell. We're talking about some of the men and women that's currently competing in bare knuckles. Okay, the modern version of it. David Mundell. There's David Mundell. And I can't believe it's 3:20. I only been on here 10 minutes. Damn. Thought it's like 2:15 or something. Well, we got time. Okay, David Mundell. There's David. He's also American mixed martial artist. He currently competes in the middleweight division of the BKFC. I know it's the one in Philly because I don't think he's in the UK or Thailand. He's American, but he's a middleweight, right? And he's the current BKFC middleweight champion. David Mundell, current champion. 9 wins, 1 loss, 7 knockouts. In his 9 wins, only 2 have went the distance with him. It's in the 60s because not a lot of fights, but that ain't bad. Got all but 2 of his opponents out of there. Alan Belcher is next. Alan Belcher. This is working out pretty good. Let me be quiet. Run in my mouth. And then boom. I'll be gone. Alan Belcher. There's Alan. Yeah, that's Alan. John Alan Belcher, also known as the Talent, right? Now he's retired from mixed martial arts, right? But he later became the BKFC heavyweight champion in bare knuckles fighting championships, where he primarily showcased his boxing skills. Okay, I think Alan is. I mean, who is this? This is Alan Belcher. Yeah, I think Alan is retired. Wait a minute, that's Mike Perry. But we did Alan. I skipped over some. That's Alan right there. Okay, that's Alan. This is Mike Perry. I skipped one. Gotta watch that. I skipped 2. Oh my goodness. Now I messed myself all up. That's what is that? That was Arnold Adams, David Belcher. That's Reggie Barnett. I miss Reggie too. Reggie Barnett. Okay. Yeah, now we're right. Reggie Barnett. I skipped over 2 people, man. We're going to get it right. Reggie Barnett Jr., as a matter of fact. There's Reggie. Yeah, that is Reggie too. Same picture. Reggie Barnett Jr., right? He's an American. And he currently competes in the BKFC out of Philly. He's a former BKFC Bantamweight champion. As a mixed martial artist, he has competed in the flyweight, bantamweight, and lightweight divisions. Reggie Barnett. And Reggie is currently 9 wins, 3 losses, 3 knockouts. Okay, next is Mike Perry. I was showing Mike when I was talking about Arnold Adams. That's Mike Perry right there. Okay, he's another one that I skipped. There's Mike. Yeah, I love it when a plan comes together. Mike Perry. Yeah, that's Mike. Michael Joseph Perry. He's also known as Platinum Mike Perry, right? He's from Orlando, Florida. Currently a star in the Bare Knuckles Fighting Championship and earned the King of Violence title after defeating Eddie Alvarez by TKO in April 2025 last month. Perry previously fought in the Ultimate Fighting Championship 15 times. He got his start in the sport after working as a trainer at a UFC gym. Mike Perry. Okay. Now next was Alan Bell. Mike is 5-0 with 3 knockouts. I had the wrong picture, but we did Alan. I'm gonna run right on past Alan. And there's the real Alan Belcher right there. I had Mike Perry up there. There's the real Alan Belcher. Okay. So next will be, I'm right now, Houston Alexander. Yeah, that's Houston. Houston Alexander. Yeah, that's Houston. That's Houston. Houston Alexander. Okay. Let's talk about Houston. Alexander. Talk about some current bare knuckles fighters in 2025. Now, Houston Alexander is also known as the Assassin, right? He's American. And he fought for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. He fought for the Ultimate Fighting Championship, Bellator, MMA, Shark Fights, and other promotions. He's known for boxing being competitive and stating, if somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm going to do it. He also helped establish Omaha's local hip-hop scenario in the 1980s. Okay. Currently a BKFC fighter. Houston Alexander. 4-0 with 3 knockouts. Okay, next is Beck Rawlings. Beck Rawlings is Beck. Beck Rawlings. Yeah, we got some women in here too. In the bare knuckles. Yeah, they crazy, just as crazy as the men up there. That's a rough sport there. Okay, let's talk about Beck. This Beck, that's Beck right there. Okay. Now, Beck Rawlings is a bare knuckle boxing world champion, an Australian flyweight mixed martial artist. So she fights bare knuckle and MMA. Known for her explosive fighting style and personality, she's competed in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, Invicta Fighting Championships, and Bare Knuckle FC. Rawlings has faced big names in women's MMA, including Carla Esparza, Tessia Pennington, and Paige Van Zandt. Her only losses in BKFC have been to Britain Hart and Christine Ferea, both reigning champions, and both on this list. Beck is 4 wins, 3 losses, 1 knockout. She must have lost to one of them twice, because she only lost to 2 people, but she got 3 losses. And one of them was Britain Hart. And there's Britain Hart right there. Britain Hart. One of the people that beat Beck Rawlings. That's Britain on the right. Well, she's the only one on there, so yeah, that's got to be her. All you can see is some hands on her opponent. Britain Hart. Must be from Great Britain. Britain Hart, right? That wasn't funny. Sometimes you gotta laugh at your own joke. It ain't funny. Britain Hart. Now, Britain is the inaugural and reigning BKFC Women's Strawweight Champion, right? And she's from the United States. She's not from Great Britain. The first and only woman to hold the title. A Bedford, Virginia resident, Hart is a professional boxer and bare knuckle fighter who previously competed in the featherweight division. Hart has never been knocked out or knocked down. Her only bare knuckle losses have been to Beck Rawlings and Christine Ferea. Hart's career started rough with more draws and losses than wins. So her and Rawlings split some fights, okay? She said one of Rawlings' only losses was to her, and one of her only losses is to Rawlings, okay? And Britain Hart's record is currently 10 wins, 3 losses, 2 by the knockout route. And here's the other lady that beat Beck Rawlings, Christine Ferea. Christine Ferea. We're just talking about some currently active bare knuckles fighters. What's up, Just Do Boxing? Salute, coming up at 4 p.m. We bare knuckles today, and these are some men and women that's currently active in the sport. And one of them, BKFC. Well, BKFC got one in the United States, the UK, and Asia. Then there's one in Florida, I forgot the name of it. And then there's a couple in the UK. Most of these people are either in Florida or Philly, the BKFC, or I think it's the BYB in mine, not BYB. But yeah, we got 2 in the United States, 2 organizations. But salute Just Do Boxing. Next is Christine Ferea. Did we do Christine? No. Yeah, that's Christine right there. Christine looked hard, man. I don't think I was messing with Christine. She ready to whip some hind parts. Let's see what Christine is about. It looked like she's a bad girl. She already messing up. I had her name in there and it didn't come up. Now I gotta put it in again. Already messing up, Christine. There she is. Christine Ferea. Something like that. Okay, Christine is the reigning bare knuckle fighting championship flyweight champ, right? Known for aggression, technical skills, and determination. Ferea fights out of Las Vegas, Nevada. She has only lost once to Helen Peralta and has since seemed nearly unbeatable. Ferea won her title against Britain Hart. We just talked about her. Hart is the current BKFC strawweight champion. And Ferea has also edged out Jade Masoon Wong, who's next, in a split decision win. And Ferea is currently 10 wins, 1 loss. 7 of her 10 wins is by knockout. And Wong ain't next. He's after that. Kai Stewart is next. Kai Stewart is next. There's Kai. Yeah. But Wong is on here. Kai Stewart. Kai Stewart. Okay, Kai. Here he is. Let's talk about Kai briefly. I think. Yeah, Kai Stewart is an American bare knuckle boxer and mixed martial artist. He currently competes in the BKFC organization in the featherweight division, probably in Philly, because I know he ain't competing in Asia or the UK. And he's the current inaugural BKFC featherweight champion. As a mixed martial artist, he has competed in the welterweight division. Okay, Kai Stewart. Okay, just got a couple more. Time permitting, I was going to cover that bare knuckle fight between John L. Sullivan and Jake Kilrain, the one that lasted 75 rounds. That was very interesting. Yeah. And Kai Stewart is currently 8 wins, no losses, 2 knockouts. And there's Jade Wasan Wong. Oh, Lord, there go hitting buttons. In case I shut us down, I will see y'all tomorrow. Yeah, there's Jade. Yeah, there's Kai. Do it. That's Jade. Wong, she don't look Asian. Wong sound like an Asian, and maybe she married an Asian. I don't know, but that's her name. Jade Masan Wong. Okay. Okay, Jade. It's got a couple more. Okay. All right. Jade Masan Wong. Let's talk about her briefly. All right. Yeah. She's Canadian bare knuckles fighter. And she's the first woman from her country to compete in the bare knuckles fighting championship, right? 5'4" flyweight fighter from Quebec City, has a brawling style, and she's known for a death by 1,000 cuts striking. She has defended her inaugural women's flyweight title 3 times, defeating Britain Hart, Taylor Starling, and Beck Rawlings. Those are 3 big names in women BK bare knuckles because 2 of them are on this list, right? And Wong has 3 wins, 2 losses, 2 knockouts. Okay. And finally, the last one is John Dodson. John Dodson. There's John Dodson. Yeah, that's John. Wait, John must have beat somebody. I hope so. Acting like that. I know he ain't losing. John Dodson. This is the final one. Let's start talking about that fight between James L. Sullivan and Jake Kilrain, the 75. That was the last bare knuckles heavyweight championship fight. But let's get John Dodson in first. Okay. Yeah, John is from Albuquerque, New Mexico, American. He competes in the flyweight division of the Rising Fighting Federation and Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, right? In the BKFC, he's the current and inaugural flyweight champion. Dawson's combat career began in high school wrestling, where he was a 2-time state champion in New Mexico, 4-time district champion, and 1-time state runner-up, okay? Yeah, those were some of the men and women that's currently competing in bare knuckles, okay? I wanted to talk about this fight. I do need the tablet again. No, I don't. Yeah, okay, this fight between Jake Kilrain and John L. Sullivan, which was the final bare knuckles heavyweight championship fight. And it was 75 rounds, man. And, long title's not coming up, but we're gonna get it. But how's everybody today, man? I appreciate everybody coming through. We got Just Do Boxing, Mike Mazik, Mike Rim, BN Boxing News, and Miss Cass. BN Boxing News dropped the color in there earlier in the chat. I think me, him, and Miss Cass was the only ones in here. Okay. Let's get this going for y'all. Yeah, yesterday, the Wi-Fi shut down on me at 5 minutes to 4. That's why I so abruptly went off. I said it's 5:03, and ain't no use going back on. I just shut it down and went on over to Just Dudes. Yeah. But we made it. I would have been gone. Thomas Hill hit the link. I couldn't even get him up. I had to go yesterday anyway. Okay. Let's get this going and talk about this fight. I think we got time to get most of it into. I put it in. I don't know why it ain't sitting there. But we're going to get it. What's going on in there? There's Thomas Hill right there. What's up, Thomas Hill? Yeah, T Hill. The Wi-Fi went out at 5 minutes to 4 on me. I was trying to get you up, but thing went out on me, man. It was crazy. Let me see here. I was trying to get this fight up between Jake Kilrain and John L. Sullivan. Let's see about that real quick. End of a boxing era is what it's called. It was the last heavyweight bare knuckles fight. Okay, they hadn't been too long. Started weight classes because before everybody fought everybody. You might be 150 fighting somebody 250, you know. But then they started weight classes because the fans didn't like that and it was dangerous, you know. But sometimes a lot of times the smaller man was winning. Mm-hmm. We talked about the bare knuckles guy that he never weighed over 150 and said most of the time he was not fighting bigger men, said he was beating heavier men. Okay? What the hell with it? And I just put the link in, man. It's taking me all day to put that in. I had it in there, but it didn't. That might be the highlights of boxing history for tomorrow. Yeah. That bare knuckles fight between John L. Sullivan and Jake Kilrain. Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. I'm gonna put the link in, man. I can't get that. I see Thomas Hill in the chat. Yeah, John L. was the last. I told y'all probably tired of me telling y'all this. John L. was the last bare knuckles champion and the first glove champion. Y'all probably, yeah, right, Cass. You know, told us 10 million, 300 million times. Damn. Y'all know y'all thinking that. But John L. Sullivan was the last bare knuckles champion, the first glove champion. Oh, let me get this link in. Who was the last bare knuckles champion? I will leave y'all alone, man. I'm cutting y'all loose, man. Who was the first glove champion? Anybody know? Let me get this link in here. How's everybody today, man? It's Tuesday. We still in the beginning of a big week of boxing history. Got a big week planned too. Still working on tomorrow. I don't know yet what it's going to be, but I'm working on something. But Thursday, the Boxing in the State series continues. It's a good one this week too, man. Virginia. Yeah. Just wait till we get to the boxers from Virginia. DB3, Pernell Whitaker. Got a brain lock. I was just looking at it yesterday. A whole bunch of them, man, from Virginia. Yeah, Thursday's going to be good. And then Friday, the profile is the life and career of the great Nonito Donaire. Now, you know, I don't usually do active people, but is he retired? But we're going to do him anyway. He haven't fought for a long time. I think his last fight was when he lost that title fight for the vacant belt that the Monster had dropped about 2 years ago. It might have been 3 to Santiago, remember? That was the last time I remember Nonito fighting. So we're going to do him Friday. Maybe his wife Rachel will see it and come in here. She's been here before on Cass Sports. Yes, she has. Not up here on the panel, though. She was in the chat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rachel been everywhere. I'm famous. Rachel Donaire been in here. My first interview is going to be Turkey Ali Sheik. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to say, Turkey, you got this small, struggling channel, man. Help me out. And old Turk going to say, sure, Cass. Just let me know when. I'll fly you over to Saudi Arabia. We'll do the interview in Saudi Arabia. Okay? See, well, I got to bring my studio audience. I just think everybody that usually be in the chat, we're going on over there. And I interview Turkey, and y'all will be in the studio audience. Okay? Now let me get the link in here. There we go. Yeah, but Turkey Ali Sheik gonna be my first interview. My people is talking to his people right now. Okay? There's the link, man. I was just trying to kill time while I got that link in there. Yeah, but we got a big week planned. It's still early in it. Now I can't get that off the damn screen. Okay, there we go. Still early in this big week, though. We got Just Do Boxing coming up in minutes. I mean minutes. About 15 today. Know something big going on over there, man. That balanced, unbiased boxing talk. You get every equation, both sides, and you get it right. Because everybody gets their Just Do Boxing, right? Everybody. Not somebody, everybody. And remember, hit my like on the way out. If you haven't hit it, hit Just Do like on the way in. Out, in. Right? Okay. Now I'm still going to work on getting this thing up here. Wow. So waiting for somebody to hit the link. We might get to get that, a little piece of that in. I had it up there. I don't know why it ain't up there. It's crazy. I can't get it. What the hell is that? You gonna get somebody singing? It ain't here. Yeah, but that fight lasted 75 rounds. It was down there in Mississippi, and they had it in this big field because they was trying to hide it from the police, right? But guess who was at the fight? Who was supposed to have been blocking the fight, but the police chief was at the fight, right? And he's supposed to have been having his force stop him from fighting. He was there watching. And I think it was Jake Kilrain in the corner. He didn't have water. He had rum in the corner for his refreshment during the fight. Yeah, rum. He ended up not coming out for, I think it was the 76th round. He's a 75th or 76. He went 74 or 75. And he didn't come out for the last round. Their rum caught up with him. And then they both ended up getting locked up. Because boxing was illegal down there in Mississippi, especially bare knuckles, right? Down there in Mississippi, where the fight was at. Yeah, boxing was illegal down there. And they both got arrested. And they was bare knuckles, right? And that's the longest bare knuckles fight in history. Now, it's not the longest fight of boxing, though. Regular boxing, I had 110 rounds. 110 rounds. Yeah. In 110 rounds. And finally, it started on Thursday evening, and that fight didn't end until Friday morning, right? Imagine that, man. Fought all night. Because, back then, there was no limit on rounds, and the round ended when a guy got knocked down, and as long as both fighters came out and toed the mark at the beginning of the round, the fight went on. And they did that 109 times. 110 times, what am I talking about? They did that 110 times. And finally, it ended in a draw, I believe. Yeah. Somebody said the referee ended it. I guess the referee wife was in the audience giving him them signals with that face. Like, come on, man. We've been here all night. So yeah, that's how that ended, though. They came out there and told that mark 110 times. That's crazy. Told you started on Thursday evening and ended Friday morning. When they had a rematch. That was me. I wouldn't fight that guy no more. You don't know how to quit. Imagine the kind of shape they had to be in, though, man. To fight all night. 110 rounds. You know, they had to be in crazy shape. But this one, I think I got it. Yeah, here we go. This is John L. Sullivan and Jake Kilrain. End of a boxing era. The tale of Jake Kilrain versus John L. Sullivan. The final bare knuckle heavyweight title fight. Okay? We're just going to start it. Close the day out. Okay? Now, it was just past 10 a.m. on July 8th, 1889, as the two combatants entered the makeshift ring on a farm in Richburg, Mississippi. But the rising sun had already sent temperatures past 100 degrees. It was 100 degrees when they started, and they fought 75 rounds, man. Incredible. Now, a crowd of nearly 3,000 had gathered in relative secret, traveling 100 miles on 3 trains from New Orleans under the cover of darkness the previous night. Okay, yeah, they had to sneak the fans in because, you know, boxing was illegal. I mean, bare knuckles, it was illegal, right? Boxing, period, right? So they had to even sneak the crowd in. Now, one train contained the pugilists and their entourages. The 2 other trains carried the horde of ticket holders, right? Some had paid $15 for ringside seats. The rest paid $10 for general admission. I wonder how much that is now. $15 in 18, whatever it was, 1880 something, 1889 or something like that. You think $15 was worth then like $200? But I don't know. Now they had come to witness an illegal activity, a bare knuckles boxing match, a sporting event deemed illegal in all 38 states at the time, including Mississippi, where Governor Robert Lowry had offered a $1,500 reward for the arrest of the fighters. You see, the governor had got wind of it. He ordered a $1,500 award for the arrest of them. But I told you, the police chief was there watching the fight. He wasn't trying to lock nobody up. He was trying to see, but they did eventually get locked up after the fight. It's in here. So hence, the need for secrecy, right? That's why they had to bust the fans in under cover of darkness and everything. Now, the ring had been erected the night before by a crew working under the light of torches. Now, the fans who rode the trains through the night held tickets that had no exact location. All the ticket had on it was destination and return. It didn't have no destination, just had the word destination and return written on it. That's all. No boxing match in American history had ever created so much excitement as this one, right? Newspapers had carried stories about the 2 fighters for months. They've been talking about this for months, right? And no boxing match like it would ever be seen again. Never. So on July 8th, 1889, John L. Sullivan faced Jake Kilrain for the World Heavyweight title in what would be the last heavyweight championship held under London Prize Ring rules, meaning bare knuckles, okay? Because the Queensberry rules had been put in, and one thing the Queensberry rules had in there was mandatory. You had to wear gloves. So this was going to be it for the bare knuckles. More than a century later, boxing fans know Sullivan's name. John L. was America's first sports superstar. Yes, he was. John L. Sullivan. I don't know who that is. It damn sure ain't John L. Sullivan. There go John L. Sullivan right there. He was America's first superstar. John L. was. Okay? I should have saved this for tomorrow because it's time to go. But yeah, we're going to continue this at the end of tomorrow. So I'm going to make sure we get that in because that's a very good article, man. Y'all will like that. You like the start? Yeah, that is very good. Okay. But now we're going to get ready to get up out of here. Time for Just Do Boxing to come in these streets. Remember that prior JBT network. It's just boxing talk, right? Okay. Let me see if I can give y'all a preview so we see what we're going to be getting into over there today on the Just Do Boxing. Oh, come on. Okay, I got 2 subscribers yesterday. I got 906. I need 92 to get 1,000. Anybody know 92 people? 92 will get me 1,000. Okay, let's see. Okay, there we go. Yeah, coming up at 4 o'clock. But today on Just Do Boxing, we have William Skull instructed, don't mistreat Canelo by Turkey Alley Sheik, right? And Bam picks Bud over Canelo. Coming up next in 5 minutes on Just Do Boxing, okay? Thomas Hill, Just Do Boxing, Mike Mazik, Mike Rim, BN Boxing News, and Miss Cass. Appreciate y'all 1,000,000%. Join me tomorrow for some more boxing history. Because if it's Monday through Friday at 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Again, Just Do Boxing is straight ahead. This is Cass Sports. Appreciate y'all 1,000%. Everybody have a great afternoon. See y'all over at Just Do. Don't meet me there, beat me there. Hit my like on the way out. Hit Just Do Boxing on the way in. And I'm out of here. Everybody have a great afternoon. See y'all around the streets.